Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins, and the message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? I have a secret that I want to share with you. A secret that has been haunting me for many, many years. So I went to Mozambique. When I went to Mozambique, I just wanted an adventure and I just wanted to experience the other side. But what I found there was something that was entirely different. There was an old man. This old man, when he looked at me, he had piercing eyes and a kind smile. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to his rituals and practices that seemed harmless at first, but soon consumed my every waking moment. I was seduced by the promise of power. Yes, the promise of power and knowledge. But what I got was enslavement to darkness. I was trapped in a world of occultism and mysticism, and I could not find my way out. I am ashamed to admit that I participated in rituals that went against everything that I believed in or anything that I thought that I believed in. I am ashamed of the things that I did, the things that I said, the things that I saw, and the lives that I have had because of the rituals that I have performed. But I am seeking redemption now. I am seeking forgiveness and a way out of this darkness. I want to be a free man. I want to be free from the grip of the occultic and back in the light of truth and love. Please, if you are reading this, beware of the temptation of the unknown. Beware of the promise of power and knowledge that comes with a price. Oh yes, each and every time it does comes with a price. I am living proof that the cost is just too high, way too high, and the consequences are too real. The old man led me down a winding path deep into the heart of the forest. The trees grew taller and closer together, here and there, casting long ominous shadows on the ground. I could feel the weight of the air as it was thickening, heavy with an eerie energy. We arrived at a certain clearing, and in the center I saw a strange curved structure. It was like a crescent moon, but twisted, and it was as if it was like a living thing. The old man gestured for me to enter, and I felt a shiver that was running down my spine. As I stepped inside, I was surrounded by creatures that defied any known explanation. They were like nothing that I had ever seen before. Twisted, mutated beings that seemed to be made of shadow and darkness. They watched me with their cold, dead eyes, their presence filling me with a creeping sense of dread. The old man began to chant, his voice low and hypnotic. The creatures began to move closer, their eyes fixed on me with an unblinking stare. I tried to run, but my legs were heavy, as if they were rooted to the same spot. Fear flooded my body. Like a cold, dark tide, I was paralyzed, unable to move or to speak. The creatures closed in, their twisted forms blurring together into a living nightmare. And then everything just went black. When I came to life, I was back in the old man's hut, lying on a makeshift bed. The old man was sitting beside me, his eyes glimmering with an otherworldly intensity. You have seen the guardians of the curve, he said. These are angelic beings. Oh yes, they are going to do you good. They will never do you no harm, he said, his voice low and mysterious. You have faced your fear and you have been chosen. Yes, you have been chosen. Chosen for what? I wanted to ask, but my voice trembled with fear. My voice was barely a whisper when I said, chosen for what? The old man smiled, his eyes glinting with a knowing light. You will learn, he said, you will learn the secrets of the curve, and you will become one of us. I tried to sit up, but a wave of dizziness washed over me. The old man's grip on my arm was like a vice. You must rest, he said, you must rest. The journey has just begun. And with that, everything went black once more. When I woke up, I was alone in the hut. The old man was nowhere to be seen, but a small leather-bound book lay on the bed that was beside me. I opened it up and the words seemed to leap off from the page, burning themselves into my brain. I knew then that I was trapped in a world of dark magic and ancient secrets, and I knew that I had to do what I had to do to escape before it was all too late. The old man's eyes seemed to bore into my soul, drilling straight into my soul, his gaze piercing and hypnotic. "You are trapped in a cycle of poverty," he said, his voice low and persuasive. "You are stuck in a life of struggle and hardship, but I can show you the other way, the way out." He paused, his eyes glinting with a knowing light. "The ritual is a key. The key is the ritual. It is the only way to unlock the doors of prosperity and success. You must embrace the power of the curve and let it transform your life." I was skeptical, but the old man's words struck a chord deep within me. I had tried everything to escape the cycle of poverty, but nothing seemed to work. Maybe, just maybe, this was the answer that I had been searching for. The old man sensed my hesitation, and his voice became more persuasive. "Think of the world and the success that you so much desire," he said to me. "Think of the life that you want to live, the life that you desire. The ritual will give it to you. You just need to accept." He leaned in closer, his breath hot on my ear, and he whispered, "But you must be willing to pay the price," he whispered. "You must be willing to surrender to the power of the curve." I felt a shiver running down my spine, but I pushed aside my doubts. I was desperate, and the old man's words were like a siren's call, promising me a way out of the darkness. "Okay," I said finally. My voice was barely above a whisper. "Okay," I said, "I'll do it." The old man's face broke into a wide smile, his eyes gleaming with triumph. The old man's face broke into a wild smile. He said, "I knew you would see it." He said, "I knew you had the potential." And with that, he led me deeper into the heart of the curve, further into the darkness that would change my life forever. The old man led me to a secret chamber deep within the curve, a place where the air was thick with an otherworldly energy. He looked at me and he showed me where I was supposed to sit on a stone pedestal, and I felt a strange tingling sensation as I did so. He began to chant in a language that I could not even understand, his voice weaving a hypnotic spell around me. The creatures from the curve began to gather around us, their eyes fixed on me with an unblinking stare. The old man's chanting grew louder and louder, more intense, and I felt myself being pulled into a vortex of darkness. I was consumed by a sense of surrender, a willingness to give myself over to the power of the curve. And then everything went blank, just like that. When I woke up, I was back in my own bed, my heart racing and my mind reeling. It was as if the whole experience had been nothing but a dream. But I knew that this was no dream at all. I could feel the power of the curve, and I felt a very strange sensation. I knew then that my life will never be the same. I had embraced the darkness, and it had transformed me forever. But as I looked around my small, dingy apartment, I realized that nothing had changed much. The poverty and hardships, they were still there waiting for me like a prison sentence, and I knew that I had made a terrible mistake. I returned to Joburg, my mind reeling with the events that had transpired. I could not shake the feeling that something was off, that something had changed within me. As I entered my small apartment, I noticed something that was strange. Underneath my pillow, a stack of cash waited for me. I lifted it up, and my eyes widened in shock. The money, it was in US dollars. This was like the first time to ever see money that was not from our country. I had never seen US dollars like physically, maybe in the movies here, a currency that I had never touched before in my life. I counted it, my hands shaking with excitement. It was nothing but a small fortune Enough but to change my life forever. I thought back to the old man's words, his promise of life of success. Could this be the start of something new, something great? I looked around my apartment and for the first time I saw it with new eyes. The dinginess, the poverty, it was all still there, but it didn't seem to matter to me anymore. I had a sense of hope, a sense of possibility that I had never felt before. I knew then that my life was about to change in ways that I could not even imagine. And I knew that I would never forget the old man, the curve, and the strange dark ritual that had set it all in my mind. But as I celebrated my newfound wealth, the old man's voice echoed in my mind, and I kept on hearing this voice as it said, "Remember, my son, with great power comes great responsibility." He had given me a list of terms and conditions, rules to live by if I wanted to maintain my newfound success. I was not allowed to attend any funerals or to see any dead bodies. I was not allowed to speak ill of anyone or engage in any form of negativity. I was to live a life of positivity, of gratitude, of constant appreciation for the blessings that I had received. I was to wear a small charm at all the times, a symbol of my commitment to the curve and its power. And I was to never ever speak of the rituals or the curve to anyone. I had agreed to these terms, to sign my name in blood before the old man would release me into my new life. I did all that I could. I did everything to secure my place to this new world of wealth and success. But as I looked at the charm on my wrist, I could not shake the feeling that I had made a deal with the devil, that my soul was now owned by a power beyond my own imagination and my understanding. And finally, the old man said to me, his eyes looking into mine directly, "You are not allowed to have any relationship with the opposite gender. No romantic entanglements, no emotional attachments. Your focus must be on your work and on your wealth. Do you understand?" I felt a pang of shock and disbelief. No relationships, no love, no connection with another human being. But why? Why? I asked myself, feeling a sense of desperation creeping in. "The curve," he said, "the curve demands total dedication." The old man replied. His voice was firm. "Any distraction, any weakness, you will lose everything. You will fall back into darkness, and poverty will be multiplied 10 times over. You will become so poor, so much that you will regret ever doing this." I felt a chill running down my spine as I realized the true cost of my success. I was to be alone, forever bound to the curve and its power. I nodded, feeling a sense of resignation washing over me. I had made my choice, and now I had to live with it. Brother Nashi, I am tired of sleeping with men. Yes, this is what I do. I have everything that I want in this world, but I have always been a straight guy. I am not allowed to start a family, and my mother now wants a makoti. What do I tell her? I am old, and I am very old, so much that I am supposed to have my own family. But this ritual, it demands that if I touch a woman, if I make that mistake of touching a woman, I'll be dead or poor. How do I get out of this? Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admins. It came from a translation of a message that was forwarded to us. Strange things do happen in this world.